Angie. Welcome back to the Trail Runners Association of Hong Kong, China podcast. How are you today?
I'm feeling all right, quite sleepy to be honest, because both of us woke up at 5:20 this morning for a run.
Yeah, well, maybe we can go to bed early, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you've been on the podcast before, but not with me. So it's very nice to meet you. Well, I've met you briefly. I can't even remember where, but somewhere.
On the trails.
Yeah. So you recently had a race in Japan, but before we get into that, for people who don't know Angie, I'd like to just give a brief resume of your career. So am I right that you started trail running in 2022, or at least started doing official races?
Yes, because before then it was COVID and there were only virtual races.
Yeah. And you've done very well, a lot of podiums since then. Your highest ITRA score was for winning the Nine Dragons 50-50 in 2024. So that's a very competitive race. So that's a amazing achievement. You've also done like a miler every year since 2022, including UTMB, Mount Fuji100, Diagonal, Day Fu, and a few stage races like the 4x4, Monte Rosa, right, which you run, of course. But which of your races are you most proud of the result of?
The Fuji100, because who would have expected to share a podium with Courtney, my idol? Yes. So I had my ups and downs in that race. And for the full interview, please check out the other TRAHK podcast. But in short, I was passed by the fourth lady at around the KM 120, and I thought I would not be able to catch up with her. In the next climb, I caught a glimpse of her, and when she saw me, she hurried up in the downhill. I couldn't see her again, like a ninja. And then in the last checkpoint, the lady behind me caught up with me and entered the checkpoint with me at the same time. And at that moment, I thought to myself, I can't lose any more position, so I speeded up. And thankfully, the last climb was not technical. I could tell that by the fact that there were no marshal. That race was well organized in the sense that they put marshal in every technical or trickier location. So when I saw that there were no marshal in the entire mountain in the dark, I knew that meant it was not a technical climb and not a technical descent. And in this final mountain, I caught up with the third lady, and this time she let me pass. And in my mind, I kept telling myself, oh my God, I'm going to stand next to Courtney. I'm going to stand next to Courtney. I need to finish this in third place. I need to keep my position. And there I was, finishing on the same podium with Courtney and get to crack a joke with her that made her laugh was the highlight of my career so far, I'd say.
Well, hopefully it's not the last time you get to be on a podium with Courtney.
Let's see.
To find out which races she's doing. So you obviously like racing in Japan because you went back recently for the Aso Volcano race where you also came third. Yeah, congratulations on another podium in Japan. So how did that race go for you, and how does the race as a whole compare to the Fuji 100? Obviously, it's a bit shorter, only 114.
Yeah, it's a bit shorter and less elevation, around 5,000 meters elevation. Same as Fuji, no hiking posts were allowed. And I have been to Aso as a tourist, so I have a rough idea of what I will be expecting. And I was looking forward to this race so much because having passed by as a tourist, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if I could just run on this grass? And that dream came true by doing this race. A lot of the farmland there are private land and well preserved for obvious reasons. The farmers have to keep them well, and it's not open to public all the time. Also, we don't want to take any risks of wandering off trail and damaging the environment unless we are given permission to. That's why as a tourist, I just kept thinking, whoa, wouldn't it be cool? And when I saw this race and I'm invited by my friend Hannah, who kindly put me in touch with the organizer and kindly offered me the experience as a guest runner, I hopped on to this and look forward to it so much. And this race, I'd recommend to Hong Kong runners if you like something runnable. If you like something continuous, rolling hills, then this is a race for you. If you like grass, but find that the grassland in Hong Kong is either not big enough or there are too many people picnicking, you're not sure if you can run on it, then please consider this race. It will change your mindset about running on grass. Yeah.
How did you find training for that race in Hong Kong, which does have a bit of a lack of grassy fields and also a bit of lack of gently undulating terrain as well?
Yeah, so I didn't train on grass while I was in Hong Kong, but having looked at the course profile and having spoken to friends who've done this race, I knew that overall it's continuous running. So when I prepared on the trails in Hong Kong, I picked something that is not too hilly and not involving too many stairs so I can keep running. With that said, I also had to do some elevation in Hong Kong, which in Hong Kong is mostly stairs, so couldn't avoid that. However, for my hilly runs, I like to do onto the peak, Black Sling, and then Bowen. So it's about like 20 kilometers of non-stop running. It's something doable in road shoes, but given how runnable the Aso course was, this was good training.
Yeah, that's great. And how did the race go for you in terms of, were you leading at any point? Did you start further back and move up through the field? Or
I wasn't thinking too much when the gun went off. And I told myself that it's a great opportunity to run on grass with amazing weather. It was very sunny. There were no clouds, making it really hot. So not as cool as the year before, which meant the photos would be nice, but our finish time would probably be slowed down. But we can't have the best of both worlds. I was happy that weather was dry, even though it was hot, so my sweat could evaporate, unlike in Hong Kong when I looked like I just came out of a swimming pool and couldn't let my heat leave my skin surface. It was hot but manageable having trained in Hong Kong. And I was running at my own pace on the grass. I didn't think of what position I was in. I understood a bit of Japanese, but not a lot. So when I realized I was second in the first hill, I was a bit surprised because I don't feel like I pushed that hard. I just kept running at my own pace. And in the first descent, the lady who won this race last year passed me in the descent. Again, she was descending like a ninja, and I thought to myself, I don't think I can catch up with her. So be it, just run my own race. And I kept my position for the most of the course until in the KM 68, where we could drop our bag. I took my time, changed my socks, and had a curry rice when the lady behind me entered. I could tell that she was quite quick with her drop back, but I decided that I need the rice, so I took my time. And after that checkpoint filled with the rice, I could run the runnable road. I'd say, pausing here, a comparison with Fuji is that although both races felt a bit like the trails are a bit scattered and were connected by roads in between, that feeling is not as strong in Aso because Aso is more rural compared to Fuji. And that's why whenever I run on the road, I still feel like I'm in the rural volcanic natural park. And it didn't feel as like two extremes, like road, civilization, and then trails, technical. Back to that checkpoint. So after having my curry rice, I felt energetic and I could run at about 5 minutes, 30 seconds pace. And at the end of that road section, I caught up with the lady who passed me in the checkpoint. And we power hiked together for a while until she turned back and told me she felt tired and she let me pass first. And from then on, I was leading not by too much, I think, because in the final checkpoint, when I was preparing to leave, she arrived and we greeted each other, we cheered each other on, and I departed first. In the dark, it was a little difficult to find my way because the forest looked the same everywhere I looked. Thankfully, I was running with another Japanese runner. He was very encouraging. He even turned to ask if I am a pro runner because he has not seen a girl who is this strong. I told him, no, I'm not pro. But that's just him being very kind, I think. And we found the way together, didn't get lost, and finished the race maybe just 5 minutes apart. So all in all, I felt very happy with the execution. The ranking is always relative and out of our control. But the feeling of not having messed up anything in my nutrition, in my pacing, in my gear is the best feeling. Plus, I could enjoy the amazing scenery. So I can't ask for anything more. It was a great race overall.
Yeah, excellent. And so having done some training for a relatively runnable course, then do you think this will help you with your upcoming marathon in July? I heard you're doing the Gold Coast Marathon. That's only about a month to go, or maybe 5 weeks, is it?
Yeah, so I have done something similar a year before. In December 2024, I did the North Face 100, and then 8 weeks thereafter, I did the Standard Chartered Hong Kong Marathon. I did both of those races, I'd say, well, because I'm happy with how I did them. So this time, my lead time into the Gold Coast Marathon is slightly shorter. Last time I had 8 weeks. This time I have 6 weeks only. I have to tell myself that I'm more experienced this time, and the Gold Coast Marathon is flatter, so in a way resembled the Aso race a little. Well, Aso race is still quite hilly, but runnable. And I'm training during almost summer heat in Hong Kong. So I have to trust myself that having gone through the tougher training, come race day, I'll be ready.
And are you hopeful that you'll get a PB, or is it too early to say? Is that what you're gunning for, I assume?
I'm aiming for it. So my training pace is on par of my PB or aiming faster. But let's see how it unfolds.
Yeah, and I also heard you have a new coach. I know it's only been a week or two, but have you noticed any different of approach with him that you think might make your training different to last time?
It's been 2 weeks, and before answering your question, I'd like to share a bit on why I decided to engage a coach. That's because I feel that I have reached a plateau in my performance, and I've slightly lost my mojo since my unfortunate DNF in the World Trail Championships last year. I was devastated because I did complete the course with my own energy on feet, but I was about 6 minutes out of time, and they did not distinguish out of timers with not finishers, and I was just categorically considered a DNF. So I lost my mojo for a while until my good friend, my Tuesday training partner, she was my athletics team captain when I was in secondary school, encouraged me to sign up for a marathon race because next year I'll have to focus on the trails again to hopefully make it to the team. So if I want to improve my PB in marathon, I should do it this year. And that's why I signed up for Gold Coast Marathon. And she also encouraged me to look for a coach if I feel like I'm plateauing. And that's why I decided to look for a coach. And I spoke to trail running friends around me. Many of them recommended Andy, and that's why I didn't shop around too much and decided to go to Andy. And having been with him for 2 weeks, I feel that he gives me more structure. Previously, when I plan my own workout, I sometimes am a bit stressed because I feel that, am I doing the right thing? Am I undertraining or overtraining? Am I giving myself too much rest, or am I not as hardworking as others? I doubt myself so much. But with a coach, I feel that I can learn to trust and having a different angle on how to prioritize different trainings or resting and different things in life. So I feel more at ease now that I don't have to stress over planning that much because I have more guidance.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I think Andy you're talking to is Andy Dubois, right? Yeah, he's a
Yes.
well-known Australian coach, and in fact, he's my coach. And I think he's very good at knowing knowing what I'm capable of. I mean, there have been a few times where I've said to him, I think, oh, your cat is very cute, by the way. There's a few times where I've said to him, I think that workout is too hard. I can't do 5 times 5 minutes hill reps in the heat. And he said, oh, I believe you can, and this is why. And he's showed me some other data. I'm like, okay, maybe I can give it a try. And then conversely, sometimes what I feel like doing is like, no, that's too hard. You've only just done a big race. You need to take it easy. So yeah, that is really helpful. So it's your first time having a coach at all?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've had great mentors and
Yeah.
people who are selflessly sharing their experiences and a general structure with me, but never a personal coach. So this is something new for me.
Yeah, great. Well, I can't wait to see what you can achieve with a coach.
Thank you.
So going back several steps, because my question started with like recent events, but going back to when you first started trail running, so it seems like your first record on the ITRO website is the Hong Kong 100 in 2021. Obviously, that was the virtual race.
Yes.
Is that right? That was your first ultra race, or were there some virtual?
That was my first
virtual
ultra.
challenges?
That was my first ultra. I was kind of out of my mind to step up so much from not having any trail racing experience, not having done a 50K, and then just stepped up to 100K. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of us did a few things in the pandemic that were
Yes.
maybe out of our comfort zone just to keep life interesting, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So how did you get involved in doing 100K out of the blue?
I got my first pair of trail running shoes in a shop where people would know if I say it's in Wan Chai, and the TV was just playing footages about the Hong Kong 100 of that year, and I was very inspired to do it because I remember it was supported by the tourism board, and I thought to myself, oh wow, I'm a Hong Kong like native, and I didn't know there are such beautiful places in Hong Kong that I can run on. I knew that place, I knew it was Sai Kung, but I didn't know like what people run there, because I've only been running on Bowen, like repeats in my previous running life before I was exposed to trail running. And I bought my first pair of trail running shoes, and I looked that race up, Hong Kong 100, online, and I did some stalking on Strava, look for people who've done the race, and try to break the GPX up into sections that I can go and try out on my own. And at the end, I thought, yeah, I can do this. Maybe if the virtual race means I can have someone to run with me, maybe I can do it when I have some mental support. So that's why I signed up.
And were you training with the peak cancer at that time, or was that before those
Not yet,
days?
not yet. That was before those days. So I was just training with some friends, and I actually started too fast for my ability back then. And when I was descending Mach 3, I had pain in my right knee. Little did I know that was called ITB, but I just knew I couldn't bend my knee properly. However, I felt like I could still move forward, and I didn't want to quit. So I ended up hiking the rest, and that's why it was so slow, because I was walking.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you managed to do a 9-hour improvement the following year, which was amazing. I hope that would have happened to me as well, because 2021 was my first 100 as well for the Hong Kong 100, and then the following year I actually saw you saw you finish, because I was running the same day. Well, I
I
started 10
see.
hours earlier, and you caught up
Yeah.
with me just after the finish.
Yeah, and if you remember, I had Chung running with me. So with one of the best runners in town as your pacer, I just have to keep grinding and believing that I have to put my foot in front of the other and I have to finish this. So that's why I was quite emotional at the finish line. Yeah, couldn't believe that I did that.
Yeah, I remember you just broke into huge sobs, and I was thinking, is she in pain? Is she happy? I couldn't figure out which, or was it both?
Both.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I felt pretty emotional too when I finished. So yeah, that was an amazing race you did in 13:36, which would have been fast enough for let's see, either the win or second place the following year.
No, but that would be different. Like virtual race is so different. Not having to carry your own supplies and not having the need to stop at checkpoints to fill up your flasks and do all the things on your own is a different story.
You think a virtual race is easier? I mean, if you have a lot of support, then I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it hard to catch up with some of my virtual splits because some of the checkpoints also are a detour from the trail. Whereas during the virtual race, we would stop at places that were selling things which were not any detour, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I hope you don't mind a personal question, and feel free to say you'd rather not answer this, but I noticed on your Instagram bio you say that you're a cancer survivor, and I was wondering how has that influenced your trail running career? Like, has it affected your motivation for trail running or your capacity to keep going, or is there any link?
There is a very strong link because when I started as a trail runner, I wasn't sure how far I could run. And then I realized mind over physical constraints, it's really the game changer. And having survived cancer, I knew that I feel the most alive when I'm suffering. I know this sounds very crazy, but I feel the most alive when I'm suffering, when I'm out of breath. I don't want to sound too naive, but in a way, I need to find these kind of stimulus in my life to remind myself how fortunate I am to be living. Also, as a cancer survivor, I knew that a lot of times it comes down to your mentality. Like, as I have shared on other interviews, what I cannot change is what happened to me. It's inevitable or it's out of my control. However, I can always control my attitude in facing it. So if I'm facing it anyway, and if I have no choice, I can at least choose to face it with a positive attitude. And that is the game changer. So on the trails, we're bound to have ups and downs, low moments, and it's self-talking to reassure yourself that you just have to keep moving forward and get yourself closer to the next checkpoint and break down the milestones into smaller pieces of digestible chunks. So one checkpoint down, another down, and then eventually you can reach the finish line. So that was when I started trail running. With time and with more experiences, with some wins, it can get a little more difficult because sometimes ego gets in the way. From a fresh trail runner where I could think to myself, I just need to carry on no matter how slow I'm moving forward. A turtle can still reach the finish line. I just have to keep going forward. But with time and with some achievements, there could be ego being the devil and telling you that, oh, you're so slow, you're not going to get a good index, you're not getting good ranking, why carry on? So there could be things like that too. But I do realize in my miler last year, the diagonal defu, that I can choose to let go of my ego. I can choose to just finish the race and not leave any regrets. I say this because that time, 24 hours in, I was so sleepy. I questioned myself, why am I carrying on? I'm not enjoying this. Why did I even sign up? Why do I walk in the dark? No hiking poles allowed on this 190 kilometers trail race with over 10,000 meters elevation. Why am I still carrying on? And when I was so slow and people start passing me, there was one local guy who finally stopped and asked if I want to walk with him to the next checkpoint. So I gladly said yes, because I need someone to encourage me anyway. We were chit-chatting, and I told him, maybe I'll think about quitting in the next checkpoint. I'll rest on the car and maybe take a lift back to civilization. And then immediately he told me, do you realize we're in Mafat? It's a UNESCO area and there are no roads. And that moment I thought, oh my, what? He said, do you need a helicopter rescue? I said, no. And he had a bandage around his knee. I felt so ashamed of myself that I was acting like a princess and not wanting to carry on with a race just because I was sleepy and lost my mojo. So that time I learned that when there are no way out, I just have to carry on. As long as I'm still safe. I've had heat strokes. I've blacked out. I've got injured during races before, which made me not having a choice but to stop racing. However, when it's just losing your mojo, don't let yourself regret the next morning. So just keep on going. Yeah, just keep on going.
That's good advice. I was thinking as you were talking that if you haven't questioned why you signed up for an ultra, then you're not working hard enough. It's like,
Yep.
I'm sure everybody does that basically. Yeah, I was wondering whether actually surviving cancer gave you a drive to get started as a way of just sort of saying, fuck cancer and showing how strong you are, or did that not really come into it?
I have always been a runner since teenage, so I did not pick up running after cancer treatment. However, I do prioritize my well-being and my physical health even more after surviving cancer. And I feel that there are times, like when I was receiving cancer treatment, I thought to myself, there are so many inspiring stories out there. There are Olympians or there are world champions who still got the winning title after they survived cancer. And I thought to myself, like, can I do something to prove to this world that don't lose hope and don't waste the chances that you're given in making yourself stronger, in living life to its fullest extent? So I kept thinking to myself all of these. And when I started doing trail races and fortunately realized I am quite good at it, I felt that this is my chance to show the world that you always can make the best out of what you have. You can always shine. You just need to take the chance and pour your heart into it, and then you will glow.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are going to find that inspiring. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
So, apart from your upcoming marathon, do you have anything else in the pipeline for this year? Any more milers that you normally do one a year?
I was too indecisive on signing up races in Europe during the summer, and when I thought of doing one, the oil price has gone up and the tickets are looking a bit too expensive, so I haven't planned any races in Europe this summer. That's why I do not think I'm doing any miler in the rest of this year. However, my next big trail race would be the Asia Pacific Trail Running Championships, which is kindly supported by TRHK. So that will be in November.
Yeah, that's in China this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that will be good. I think you had some success in the last one, the last Asian champs, where you came 10th, right?
Yes, I came 10th.
Which is quite a good result in that competitive field, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. And so I also saw that you did the 4 and 4 a few years ago, which for people who don't know is kind of like a qualification for 4 trails, where you do the 4 trails over 4 24-hour periods. So does that indicate that you have an interest in doing the 4 trails at some point, or is that kind of put you off?
So I signed up for the 4 and 4, hoping that I would find the answer during 4 and 4. I was not sure if I want to do 4 trails, and I thought to myself, if I cannot do it over 4 days, I definitely can't do it back to back. And I was thinking to myself, if I can manage the 4 and 4, then I can try to imagine myself doing the 4 trails and decide whether I want to do it. I still haven't found my answer yet, because for 4 and 4, I felt that every day I can have a shower. The day after Hong Kong Trail, I could even go for a foot massage, sleep, and then do the MAC on the last day. Whereas for 4 trails, back to back means no proper sleep. And that's my biggest concern, because as a cancer survivor, I do prioritize my well-being, and sleep is so important to me that I'm really hesitant about pushing myself to that extent of doing it back to back without sleep. Yeah. Shower, okay, give and take, but sleep is really important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, and I've heard that some people have their sleep really messed up for a few weeks afterwards, because you force yourself to stay awake that long, and then it's hard to get back into a regular sleeping pattern afterwards. But yeah, anyway, if you ever do want to do it, I'll be cheering for you. I see you also did the Monte Rosa stage race in 2024 and also run it. I'm very interested in doing that race myself. So would you recommend it to other Hong Kong runners?
Yes, it's such a beautiful race. I didn't enjoy the full experience, actually. I didn't get to experience the full course, I'd say, because there was heavy rain on my second day. It was unsafe for us to cross the glacier between Matterhorn and the border of Switzerland and Italy. That's why the organizer arranged coaches and took us to the next checkpoint in Italy. And because of that day's big rain, the Saas Valley of Switzerland was flooded. And this would have been our course on the fourth day, which meant our 4th day was rerouted into something shorter as well. So at the end of the day, I only ran 3 days out of the 4 days of the UTMR. However, it was very well organized. Like, the organizer arranged coaches for us when we couldn't run, make sure we can still reach the hotel and have a proper, really nice Italian dinner at the hotel. And the overall atmosphere was really nice because it was a stage race. So you begin to remember faces, then you can chit chat with the people during dinner, during breakfast, and then you head to the start line together. And at the finish line, you just chill and wait for others to cross the finish line before you all make your way to the hotel. So all in all, really great, friendly vibes. I have not done the full UTMR in one go. I would say the stage race should be much more friendlier. It can still be competitive, but I think it's more friendly in general, as probably half or more than half of the people sign up for it as a tour rather than as a race. Yeah.
Also, you get to see all the nice scenery in daylight, and
Yes.
you don't have your sleep being much adversely affected because you didn't have to do any overnights, right?
Exactly. Yes. You can enjoy a proper shower, proper dinner, proper breakfast before you start another day. It's really good. I like it so much.
And is there any adaptations you think Hong Kong runners need to make for the mountainous terrain in terms of their training? Obviously, gear, obviously, but
So I remember it's mandatory to either bring your own ice, those claws under your shoes, or what are they called?
crampons.
Oh, yeah, the crampons. Yeah, the micro crampons, not the heavy duty ones. You either have to bring your own or you rent it from the organizer. So I rented it. However, because of the rain on the second day, I didn't get to cross the glacier of Matterhorn and the border. But my friends who have completed the entire loop said it's not that scary. Even if you have never walked on glacier before, it's doable. Yes, I've walked on glacier before, not during that race. I've other experiences. I guess for someone who has never walked on glacier, they have to imagine walking on slippery things and be mentally prepared.
Yeah, fantastic. I think I've taken enough of your time since you got up early. You can start getting ready for bed now. Thanks a lot for taking the time to chat to me, and good luck with the rest of your marathon training. It's getting pretty hot for doing long road training, right?
Yes, that's why I start at 5 a.m. for my long run.
Yeah, it makes a difference to have most of you run in shade at least, right?
Yep.
Thanks a lot, Angie. I'll switch you again soon. Bye.
That's it.
Hi, Michael. Welcome back to the Track Podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jenny?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm in the UK. I am in a Tudor house. You can see the striped buildings. This is my parents-in-law's house in the UK. And they used to live in Hong Kong for a long time, also in Japan and Malaysia. So they've got a lot of Asian memorabilia. But check this out in the background. Let me just show you. They have a rickshaw. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, wow. I can see that. Yeah. How'd they get that? More importantly, how'd they get it back to the UK?
Well, when my father-in-law retired from his job, like he was working for ESF schools, and they paid to have a shipment of stuff coming back to their home country, even though they carried on living in Hong Kong for a lot of years after that. But they had a lot of stuff shipped back.
Yeah, you take Simon, your husband, out on the rickshaw since you've been there, or stayed in the house? Or he take you out?
I don't think that's going anywhere. It'll probably fall apart if you try to move it. And also the street outside here is cobbled, so it might be a very uncomfortable ride. Yeah,
easier to pull it than to ride in it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you had a chance to listen to my chat with Angie, I assume.
Yes, I did. Quite impressive that she's done a lot of amazing things in a short amount of time. A lot of these podcasts that you've been doing and interviews of some of these athletes it's impressive how they have some running background and things like that, but once they get into trail running, they've had some massive results in a short amount of time.
Yeah, and I think it helps if you start off being a fast road runner to start with.
Yeah, it seems that. Maybe the younger generation as well.
And there we are, kind of flogging ourselves for marginal gains. So me and Angie both did the 2021 and 2022 virtual Hong Kong 100s, and I also kind of limped the whole of the second half and finished in 23 hours. And the following year, I managed to get half an hour faster. And although I had some problems the following year as well, and she managed to get 9 hours faster. It's not surprising that she gets frustrated though with then having less big gains in the following years.
Yeah, so she said she ran with Chung, right? And so I actually remember seeing them come into Tai Mo Shan Visitor Center.
Yeah, because you were there when I finished as well. Because you were pacing me the last right. section, so I had you pacing me, and she had Wong Ho Chung pacing her.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I only went half an hour faster.
Yeah, sorry, I'll take the blame on that. Couldn't keep his pace, but I just remember that too because he ran 4 trails like a week or two after that, and had set the all-time record as well after running 100K pacing her. Yeah.
Yeah, they started off. He was pacing a group of them, I think, and then I guess she's the only one that kept the pace.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't realize that was her until your interview. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And it was fast, right? It was like 13 something hours.
Yeah, 13:36.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting how she kind of lost her mojo because of the World Championships. She's not the only one that's had that problem. I told her after we went offline about Angelique Caballo. Do you remember her? She came to DB for our backyard ultra.
Yeah.
The Filipino runner.
I just ran with her recently in the Philippines in the hardcore race as well. I saw her and said hi. Yeah.
Yeah, so she won the hardcore 100, but she also had a bit of a lost mojo. Like she didn't do any races between September and March because she also got timed out during the World Champs because I think the cutoff was quite harsh for women, as I mentioned. I think she got cut off at the last checkpoint or second to last checkpoint. She only did 66 out of the 80 something K. But yeah, she was only just timed out, and yeah, the cutoffs were quite harsh for women. So she lost her mojo as well. But she's come back with a vengeance now. Like she won the hardcore 100, which is obviously a very difficult race.
I was there. It was miserable. I actually passed her because she was doing the 100 mile. I was doing the 50 mile, and I passed her going up a climb around, maybe she had like 15K to go, and I passed her. And it got really hot out, and it was her second day, like 30 hours in or so. But then I struggled the last 10K a lot, and she ended up passing me and finished 1 minute in front of me. So she ran by me as I was doing a slow trot on the final road. She just ran past very fast at the end. And I saw her right before I started. She was coming into the halfway point as well. So I saw her like 3 or 4 times during the race. And yeah, she was first overall female by quite a bit.
Yeah. A great athlete. It's a shame that the having such a harsh cutoff at the World Champs demotivated a lot of very strong female athletes. Angie was slightly ahead of Angeli during that race.
Yeah.
It's very demotivating to get cut off in a race like that.
Yeah, but it's good to see they're both coming back stronger. And yeah, Angie had some nice perspective on the whole thing as well, with everything that she's done and how she's dealing with it now and everything with her story. So it's good to see. It sounds like she's going to have a lot of impressive stuff coming up in the years to come as well. Seems to be getting stronger now. She talked about a new coach and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to follow her journey.
Yeah, and especially she's doing a marathon training block. I know a lot of other Hong Kong runners do that in the summer because it's a great way to start the season, with fast legs. Koze is doing that as well.
Right.
He's training in Berlin for the whole summer.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah, well, maybe it's something we should look into.
I'm not doing any serious training after I finish my miler. Hopefully finish it, but I'm going to have some time
when you finish it.
I'm going to have some time to just do some fun things and not feel like I have to run.
Yeah. Well, you'll deserve a break because your training has been impressive going into it.
It's been tough, especially in the heat, like in Hong Kong, trying to find runnable routes. Like Angie said, and she was talking about her ASO training. Like it's hard in Hong Kong because when it gets hot, then suddenly routes that might have been runnable in the winter are no longer runnable if you want to not get overheated. And so, yeah, if you need to have a hilly, runnable route, it's hard to avoid a lot of concrete, a lot of road. Like Angie talks about Black's Link. I did that a few times. And I did a few hilly roads on Lantau, like the Sham Wat Road. I did not run all the way up that one.
Yeah.
That road that goes up to Nong Ping from the Tung Chung side.
Right.
I could run it in winter, but in summer, if there's no shade, it's just brutal.
I can't. Things I could run up before. I mean, I can maybe do it, but I'm trotting and my heart rate's in zone 5, and I'm breathing pretty hard. But just training yourself in the heat and learning how to kind of control the pace, even if it is power hiking or walking a bit or much slower pace, like. I can normally run maybe 5:30, 5:40s in the winter, but now I'm running like 6:15, 6:20s, 6:30s to kind of control the heart rate and the endurance overall. And you feel slow, but you got to kind of look at it from almost like an effort perspective. And if you're going to run 5-6 hours, that 6th hour, the last hour you're running, you're still performing at a level similar to when you started, right? So it's a challenge, and you have to drink more sodium, things like that. But it's also good training, I think, to figure out how to kind of pace in general for races all year round. So it's an interesting challenge. What bothers me more is the spider webs and the snakes. To be honest, the heat, it's hard and it sucks sometimes, but the spider web, especially me, I'm 192 centimeters, so not all the webs get cleared, even if I'm not the first one out there. Some of the taller ones are still there.
Yeah, we need to find out where you're going and then go shortly after you've cleared them.
And I got to figure out where Will Hayward's going, and I'll go after him.
Yeah, or Jono from South Lantyre is also good at clearing spider webs.
There you go.
Yeah, so one of the reasons actually that I chose to do the South Downs Way 100 because I was wanting to do a 100-miler this summer, and there's a lot of them in the UK that happen in July and August. But I trained for a 100k race last August, mostly in Hong Kong in June and July. In fact, I went to the UK a few weeks before the race, and so my peak training was actually in the UK. But doing peak training in Hong Kong in June is really tough. So I thought, well, if I enter a race in mid-June, that means my peak training is going to be in May, where it's not quite as hot. Well, I had one really hot weekend, but I think I got away with it for the most part. It could have been worse if all my peak training was in June. I think that's one good thing that the South Downs Way has going for it for Hong Kong or Asian runners in general, actually.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to tracking you.
Yeah, and also it's part of the World Trail Majors, which is it's good. I expect have the checkpoints to be similar to Hong Kong 100 in terms of the volunteers and the breadth of food that they have at the checkpoints and things. That's reassuring. It's reassuring. I suppose it's playing it safe, really, because there were other races I could have chosen that were smaller, which obviously the smaller race, you spend a lot more time on your own, and the range of food at the checkpoints might not be quite as good as in a bigger race. So I thought, well, I'll try the bigger race first, and then maybe I'll get more adventurous if that goes well.
Yeah, it sounds if it's in the World Trail Majors, I'm sure there's a lot of pretty good athletes there too, huh?
Oh yeah, and if you want to listen to some podcasts about it, there are the Centurion, which is the company that organises a lot of races in the UK. They have a podcast, and they've been interviewing athletes all this week. Like every 2 days, they've been putting out a new interview, and some of them are like, British 100k champion, 24-hour champion. Some road runners who, because the South Downs Way is quite runnable, it's kind of a gateway to trail running for long distance fast road runners.
Nice.
So it's going to be interesting to see whether the trail runners or the fast road runners end up coming out on top or not.
Excellent. Yeah, it'll be fun to follow.
Yeah. And I found it quite inspiring listening to Angie talking about how much she felt alive when suffering, and so that's quite an encouraging to something to look forward to. Feeling alive during my race as well.
Yeah, it's funny, right? I was reflecting on that a little bit after I heard her say that as well, and I think it's one of those things, right? Like looking back at it, you can kind of embrace it a little bit, but in the moment, it's really hard to kind of get your mind in that state. It sounds like she was telling the one story, when she was 24 hours into the race and wanted to quit, right? Like, even though she's survived cancer and has, obviously a tough person, still in that moment, you're very vulnerable. Some of the stuff she was saying in that race, I felt myself, like at night, in the middle of the night, like, why am I doing this? I don't want to keep going. And I had a similar thing recently as well, where I felt like maybe I should quit because I'm really struggling. I'm not feeling well. And I was like, but there's no way off this trail. The only way off this trail is to get to the finish. There's no roads. The only way I get out of here is to keep moving forward. Going back is longer. And you're not going to call a helicopter unless you can't move. So, in some ways, maybe that's the races that are better to sign up for, the ones that you have no choice but to continue on and figure out how to survive.
Yeah, well, in the South Downs Way, if you don't have somebody that's willing to come and pick you up, they have a bus that goes around all the checkpoints, but it waits until the last person that is getting cut off arrives at the checkpoint, which could be long after the checkpoint closes. When the person that left the previous checkpoint within cutoff arrives after the cutoff, and so it's going to take longer to get to the finish by bus than to actually run it. So that's a good incentive.
Yeah. So embracing the suffering, embracing the suck is one. I read a book that they talked about that. How do you embrace those moments when you're struggling in the moment? You have to find ways to do that. It's tough.
Yeah. I've come across some other athletes in the past week that have good quotes about suffering. So listen to this one for John Kelly. So a few months ago, he wrote a tribute to the toughness of his 100-year-old grandmother on her birthday, saying that she was born into nothing, had childhood during the Great Depression, and he said, I have no doubt that she could have finished Berkeley if she'd had the chance 70 years ago, but she doesn't understand the point of artificial, voluntary adversity. Few people do who have had enough of the real thing.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't born into a tough enough environment.
Yeah, and if you have a relatively comfortable life, then it is, as Angie said, a good way to feel alive, and also to put yourself in a position where you're gonna suffer, but you can stop unless you're in the middle of a UNESCO area. You can stop if you want, but you're choosing not to because you want to finish the thing and be proud of finishing. That's a good position to be in. Realize that suffering is temporary and there will be an end. Either you stop or you keep going, and there will be an end, hopefully.
Yeah. No, that's what I keep saying. Time moves on, and there will be a moment when you're done and the cutoffs are gone and the finish line's there, and there will be a moment. I try to reflect it in that way. Even though this is awful now or hard now, there will be a moment, and then when you look back, you can look back in two different ways, right? You'll be looking back at, I maybe could have done more, or you'll look back like, wow, I pushed through something pretty tough, incredible, and I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish. And it's not always your best race, but you're proud of kind of what you got through, and you struggled and you kind of pushed through it. I sometimes struggle as well as knowing the line between pushing through something that's uncomfortable versus maybe you're pushing into something that's going to hurt you, or be not good for you, or
take you out for a year. Yeah.
Right. So it's hard to know if your knee pain is something that if you run another 10 hours on it, it's going to tear something, or if it's just something you need to deal with and you'll recover in 2 weeks and be fine. And in tough moments, it's easy to kind of say, well, I'd rather be safe and stop versus push through it. It's hard, but that's why we kind of do these things and try to find the right formula so that you can do it without the least amount of suffering as possible.
Yeah. And I also found a great interview with Stephanie Case recently, where she was talking about the perspective that she has from having worked for 15 years in war zones. And she says, that's hard. Running ultras where people give you snacks every 10K and a pat on the back and encouragement to keep going, that's not hard. Working in a war zone is hard. So yeah, that's also something worth to bear in mind when you're doing something that you feel like is hard, is that you've chosen to be here, and remind yourself why you've chosen to be here, because a lot of people don't get the opportunity to spend a whole day in nature enjoying nice scenery and getting to push their physical limits voluntarily.
Yeah, but it's hard.
Yeah, I was also thinking about what else we have to talk about, and of course Rachel Entrekin's amazing win in Cocodona has been all over the news, which is great to see, women doing so well in the race, and also the race itself getting so much publicity outside of the trail running circle.
Yeah, it reminds me when Courtney Dauwalter won Moab in 2018, when she was the first overall, and the second place man was like 8 to 10 hours behind her as well. Kind of a breakout performance for her, I think, which kind of introduced her to the world stage. And so I think it's kind of introduced, even though Rachel's won it for the females the last 3 years, setting the course record, beating all the men, kind of dominating, like being in the front pretty much the whole race, with Courtney in the field, ironically enough, as well, who was second overall female, but quite a ways behind her. And so in a stacked field as well. There's some really good 200-mile runners there, some who've won several 200-mile events. Killian, who won the Triple Crown last year for the 200 miles. There's Michael McKnight, who also won the Triple Crown 200 miles as well. Yeah, a lot of really big names in the 200-mile arena in there as well. And she, beat them all. So that's a really cool story.
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers for before the race, but I think Rachel Entrekin had a higher ITRA score than the guy that came second. Although that guy Killian is a good 200-mile runner, you don't get that many ITRA points, because I think they theoretically think that it's possible that if the other Killian or Jim Romsey decided to train for a 200-mile race, they could be even faster. So you don't actually get very many ITRA points for doing 200-mile races.
But like moving from 50K to 100K and 100K to 100 mile and 100 mile to 200 mile, it's different races, right? Like, so, like it's easy to say someone else may do it, but it's, again, she beat Courtney, and she's kind of the queen of some of those longer ones as well. But,
I would guess that Courtney ran a more conservative race because she DNF'd last year, then she wanted to make sure she finished.
Yeah.
I think Rachel went there and optimized everything from the previous year. I think she was she the winning female last year as well, or second?
Last 2 years. Last 2 years. It's the third year in a row she's won the top female.
Yeah. So she knew
but she was
could
like
go
10 hours
faster.
quicker or something. 10 hours quicker this year or something. I forget the numbers, but much quicker than the last 2 years. Even though she won top female. And I heard there's a lot of, I think, DNFs as well in the first day because of some of the heat as well. So she may have been better equipped for how to deal with the heat in the first day than some of the other runners out there as well. Because it sounds like she got the early lead and just held on throughout, even though she was performing well. But yeah, I heard there's a lot of DNFs the first day in that race this year.
Okay. Yeah. But every time something like this happens, then people start saying, well, this is proof that women are better than men over extra long distances. But I don't think that's true, because I think there's still physiological advantages that men have. But I think over a race of that distance, then there's so many things that can go wrong. Then the one who wins is the one who had the fewest things go wrong, and also who's a very strong athlete, right? Like Rachel Entrecan obviously is. What do you think?
I think it narrows the gap a little bit in some of these longer ones. It feels like it narrows the gap a bit. But yeah, obviously it's not equal. But
apparently, if you take results from long established races, is it the PTL that's the longest one of the UTMB series? I get all the acronyms mixed up. Is it the PTL that's the really long one? Apparently, if you look at the results of that, which obviously attracts the most highly ranked runners in the world, then the male and female finish times still have a 10% or 15% gap, which is what you see over shorter distances as well.
Yeah, but have many elite runners run that on the female side?
I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, amazing story and amazing performance. And great to see.
Yeah, and what else has been happening? Yeah, the Rinjani race happened. A lot of Hong Kong runners went there, and of course, Tomo went there and did quite well as well. Have you had a chance to chat to him about that yet?
Yeah, he said, obviously excluding Barclays, it's the hardest race he's ever done. Challenged him a lot. He said the technical nature of the trails is just nothing compares to any race he's done before. Even Barclays, he said this is much more technical, where there's a lot of sections where if you're not paying attention, you could have a huge fall that could be a major problem. And there's ladders you have to go down and technical sections that are just, so it just eats you up. A lot of stuff can get in your shoes and just so steep and such long climbs. And he finished, I think, 5th overall. And he beat the old 50-hour cutoff as well. It's now 55 hours. I think the guy who won it shattered the world record, the guy from China. I forget his name. But then, Man Yi finished it just under 55 hours, I saw.
Yeah, only two female finishers this year. I felt bad for there was an empty spot on the podium that Nikki should have got if she'd have been able to finish, but it's very tough conditions out there.
Yeah, it seems like a brutal race. Even the 100K and the 60K races have huge DNF rates, like 70+%, even for the shorter races. So I'm not sure it's something I want to try, to be honest. It just seems, this doesn't really seem like a trail race. It seems like more of an adventure race than a trail race. It seems like it could be quite dangerous if you're really not prepared properly for it. But yeah, amazing performances.
Yeah, and I noticed also on the podium next to Man Yi was Kanaka Adamoto, and she came second in the Lantau 70, so I recognized her face. And I saw she was also on the podium with Angie, so she won the Aso race. And so that's quite close together, doing the Rinjani 100 and then Aso only a few weeks later.
Wow.
So what an athlete she is, yet she didn't manage to beat Katrina Hamlin in the Lantau 70. Maybe Katrina had some home advantage there, knowing the trails and being also really dialed in mentally for the finish as well. That was quite inspiring to see as well.
That's amazing. You got to get her on the next podcast.
Katrina, well, she's been on the podcast.
No, not Katrina.
Kanako.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did interview her at the finish of the Lantau 70 briefly. She said she had limited English, but then seemed to be able to hold a conversation quite well in English. But she's not really confident in English to have a full interview, I think.
Well, I can speak a bit of Japanese, so I can be the interpreter.
Now that would be a fun interview. All right, Michael, I'm going to sign off and rest my voice. And see, I've been coughing a bit. Need to try and get well for Saturday.
Yeah. Take care of yourself. We'll be watching and cheering you on.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And yeah, so I don't have any worries about suffering too much. I'm not going to stop because I'm suffering too much. The only reason I'll stop is if I get cut off. This is another race against cutoffs for me.
Well, then don't get cut off.
I've just got to keep trying to do majority running rather than hiking, even though when I'm getting tired. That's my challenge. And because I'm being coached by Andy, he's tried to coach me for a few races where I've been up against cutoff. I have not beaten the cutoff in any of those races yet, the ones where I've been up against cutoffs. And so I'm thinking this is going to be the one where I'm going to beat the cutoff.
I have a feeling too. My daughter, who's 27, just did her first 50K trail race with some tough cutoffs in New York in the US. So she just kept going, first ever really trail race, and just kept going, was very efficient, and looking at her splits was very steady throughout, even though she struggled a lot. So I have confidence that you know what you need to do and you'll do it. And, there's some good mojo out there for you. So I'm confident you're going to do it.
Yeah, and I've got some paces in the second half, so they will hopefully make sure I can move through the checkpoints quickly, because one reason I didn't achieve my goal at the Hong Kong 100 was I spent too long at the drop bag location. And at least the second drop bag, I'll have a pacer with me whose job it is to make sure that I don't spend more than 10 minutes in the checkpoint. I mean, if I'm needing to change my socks, then I might take 5-10 minutes, but 10 minutes max. And if I don't need to change my socks, 5 minutes max.
Yeah, be efficient.
Yeah.
But do what you need to do.
Yeah, that's good advice. Thanks a lot, Michael. Have you got anything that you're working towards this summer?
Just some challenges. We'll try to do Wilson Trail on July 4th. I'm going to try to do Lantau Trail, Hong Kong Trail back to back on 2 days, probably in early August. So some tough trails, like long runs in the heat, and try to figure out how to pace them right, and kind of just some personal challenges to kind of get confidence in the ability to run in this weather, and how to pace properly and fuel properly, and get to the finish feeling not destroyed, type of thing. So yeah, just some personal stuff to kind of really try to dial in confidence in these longer runs.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you'll get some respite in some nice cool streams along the way.
Yes, I love that dearly. I've already got to enjoy that a few times already this summer. So yeah, looking forward to that as well. A lot of rain in Hong Kong these days, so they're filled up nicely and flowing very good.
Good, right. Well, enjoy, and I'll chat to you again soon.
Okay, take care. Good luck.